Hawksbee and Jacobs here on talkSPORT. We'll come back to that music a little bit later.
Had they gone early with that?
Sorry?
Had they gone early with that one?
Yeah, they have gone early, but it doesn't matter. We can cover it. Just a touch early. Mike Parry in lockdown. We've been checking in with him throughout the last 3 weeks. I'm very pleased to say that he joins us now. Good afternoon, Mike.
Good afternoon, fellas. I tell you what, that theme music is very timely because I was catching up on Mastermind last night, self-isolation programs and all that. And a chap came on and his specialist subject was Sherlock Holmes. This guy got 14 out of 14 with no passes, a record score.
Wow. That is impressive.
Wow.
I know we're going to come back to it because I know that you've got one of your followers on Twitter was suggesting some subjects for you, but we will come back to it. But
yeah, sure.
I see you said you were going to achieve great things in lockdown. You talked about Sir Isaac Newton coming up with the theory of gravity during the plague when he was in lockdown. But you've not turned to science, you've turned to the arts and literature. I saw a beautiful poem you wrote the other day.
Yes, I have turned to the arts, fellas, and I want to say what an honour it is for me to use your show as a platform for the first ever public reading of a poem I've written called Ode to the English Tavern.
Lovely.
This poem is written by Porky Wordsworth Parry, that's me, by the way, and it goes like this, fellas, and it's to deliver hope for the future to our nation in these times. And it goes like this, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, to be in an English pub in spring, the frothing ales and casks of beer, and all the joys it brings. The locals standing round the bar, in the wheat sheaf on the square. We've all got problems in this world, but not when we're in there. We see our friends to laugh and shout as the booze warms up our blood, and life's on hold for a couple of hours. That is understood. So savour the thought of a glass in your hand, red wine, Pinot or gin, 'cause one day soon they'll open those doors to let us all back in.
That's a beautiful poem.
That's good. That's really good. Well done, Mike.
Thank you very much, guys.
I could see those towels on the bar and small peanuts.
Well, I can tell you, one person. Yes, absolutely. It's very kind of you. Thank you. Yeah. I can tell you one person who's not really missing his local pub, and that, of course, is Mr. Alan Brazil.
No.
I mean, has we ever met a guy, professionally or personally, who falls on his feet like Alan Brazil does, you know? So there he is, self-isolating on his estate in Suffolk. He's got this beautiful barn and attached houses and buildings, all that kind of stuff, sitting on the deck now, looking over the swimming pool, which he's going to sink himself into in a few minutes. And that's self-isolation for Al, with a steady supply of refreshment being delivered by his local vintner. He just gets away with it all the time.
He does. I don't know. It's amazing. He seems to be thriving in lockdown, as Big Alan, from what we see of his videos. Mike, before we come on to Mastermind, there's a couple of serious subjects I believe you want to tackle today. Sure. Somebody we lost earlier this week, and obviously a very poignant anniversary today.
Yes, indeed. Sterling Moss died early this week, and I'm sure you'll have had guests on talking about him, great racing drivers and all that. I interviewed him 2 or 3 times, once went to his Mayfair house, and I've never come across a gentleman like him, an English gentleman. I'm very proud to be both British and English, you know, and the way he carried himself, it was amazing what Sir Jackie Stewart said about him. He said he walked like a racing driver. He walked like, you know, a British competitor, that sort of thing. The most amazing thing about him is that he was 90 when he died. When he was 80, he actually fell down the lift shaft in his Mayfair home, 50 feet. He fell down 4 floors and somehow didn't kill himself. He just broke both his ankles and a bit of pelvis trouble and his spine. But what a resilient man, you know, to have got through racing in an era when nobody really cared that much about safety, and then to do that. And it just struck home to me that we lost somebody very special.
Absolutely, yeah, he was an amazing man. We were lucky to interview him in the studio a couple of times, and it was a brilliant...
exactly.
It's My Sporting Life with Danny Kelly, they replayed at the weekend. Now, he was a real kind of British hero, very sort of stoic character, wasn't he, Mike?
He was terrific. And of course, fellas, I didn't think I could come on your show today without pay, commemoration to the fact that it is the anniversary of the Hillsborough disaster. On this day in 1989, 96 people lost their lives. And I just sort of wanted to emphasise, because Everton fans and the club, Everton Football Club, threw everything into the, justice for the 96 and everything into the mourning and healing process within the city of Liverpool, alongside Liverpool. And I think any Liverpool fan listening now will agree with that. Mr. Kenwright, the former chairman of, the present chairman of Everton, the former owner of Everton. I mean, you ask any Liverpool fan how much support did we get from Everton under Mr. Kenwright, and they will tell you it was absolute, utterly absolute. He threw himself into the support campaign more than anybody, and I'm very, very proud to support a club that's run along those lines. And I just want to say, using your show as a platform, sympathies to all the families who lost to this day and forever.
Indeed, I echo that. And I was at White Hart Lane the week after Hillsborough and Everton came and played, and there were wreaths laid on the pitch. It was incredibly moving atmosphere. I remember that like it was yesterday. It was a terrible time. At one of the anniversaries,
I can't remember which year it was, I was at Goodison. It was an evening game, and Mr. Kenwright brought out the showman in him, and the names of every victim of the 96 went up on the big screen in the two corners of the ground. For a while, we debated what sort of music should you play, and Mr. Kenwright eventually opted for "He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother." And it was such an appropriate lament, if you see what I mean, considering what had happened. Families had been devastated. And we had that famous picture of the little boy and little girl, red and white shirts, 9 and 6, 96. It was very, very touching. And that's the sort of atmosphere the city of Liverpool has over this incredibly tragic, historic disaster.
Indeed, Mike. So you were saying earlier on that you'd watched Mastermind, were very taken by that record score of 14. And Patrick McDonnell reached out on Twitter to you and he said, Mike, what would be your specialist subject? Would it be the moon, Everton, ducks, fish fingers, the Beatles, or something else? And you said Horatio Lord Nelson. That would be your specialist subject. That was interesting. Are you a bit of a scholar of Nelson?
Well, it's not that I'm a scholar, but from my balcony on the coast, I look over at HMS Victory. In between HMS Victory and me is the biggest ever naval warship, the Queen Elizabeth, which berths there. It's not there at the moment, but it berths there. And I have an inherent love of the sea and the Navy, because where my place is on the coast, my dad set off on D-Day about 2 miles away. From just behind the Isle of Wight, and I have a whole feeling to the thing. I love the naval history. There's a naval history department at Portsmouth University. I like to go over there and talk to the lecturers and that sort of thing. So I think it's too obvious to say the Beatles. I think it's too obvious to say Everton. I think it's too easy to do a subject that you've grown up in within your life. And what worries me is if you take your best subject as the first one and you get through, then you've got to become an expert on something else. So if I got through the first, and I'm pretty certain I would, I would master my subject impeccably. That's how I approach things in life. And then the second round, I'd use one of the standards, Beatles or Everton, until I got to the final.
Well, look, I'll try and warm you up for getting through this third round, because I hurriedly knocked out 10 questions on Lord Horatio Nelson.
Brilliant.
And I'm going to give you 10 questions now in the Mastermind style. So, should we have the music again? Better late than not.
That'd be great.
At the right time.
Here we are, that's right. Yeah, that's it. Here we go. Is it there? Oh, marvellous. Okay. I think we're going to have the...
Who knew that was coming?
We're going to have the start with So I Finish a bit coming up. Here we go then, Mike. You ready? We're kind of against the clock with time pressing. Where is Nelson buried? Do you know the answer to that?
Nelson buried?
Yeah.
You mean his grave?
Yeah.
Yeah, his grave, Nelson.
Yeah, where is it?
It's overseas. No, it's not overseas. I know exactly where it is. He was brought back in a barrel of brandy to the Naval College at Greenwich and then buried at St Paul's.
Oh, you're not cheating, are you, Mike?
No.
Okay.
Well, how can he be?
What happened? What happened to Nelson at the Battle of Santa Cruz de Tenerife? What did he lose?
He lost his left arm.
He did. Well done. They're correct.
Yeah.
What was the name of his daughter with Emma Hamilton?
Elizabeth.
Horatia. There was a clue there.
No. Her second name is Elizabeth.
Oh, okay. Who was the captain of HMS Victory at Trafalgar?
It wasn't Nelson because he was the commander of the fleet.
Yes. So who was the captain? You wanted a kiss from him.
No, Hardy.
Yeah, Thomas Hardy was related actually to Oliver Hardy. That's a useless fact. In which year? That's true. Yeah. In which year did the Battle of Trafalgar take place?
The Battle of Trafalgar took place in 1805.
Okay, correct.
Correct.
What
That's good.
What was erected in his honour in 1843?
In 1843, in Nelson's honour, they erected the monument on Trafalgar Square.
Nelson's Column, that's right. In which other British city do they have a monument to Nelson? Other British city, Mike?
Yes, the other British city was Portsmouth.
It's Edinburgh. Unlucky.
Edinburgh, that's right, yeah.
In which county?
I thought you meant English city, sorry.
Oh, I did say British. I did qualify that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Oh.
In which county was he born?
He was born just across the border from Suffolk in Norfolk.
In Norfolk, absolutely right. Okay, at what age did he first become a ship's captain? How old was he?
23.
He was 20. And in 1790...
No, he was a midshipman at 20.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, go on. Yeah.
1798, Nelson defeated Napoleon. And, of course, I started, so I finish. And built his reputation in the Battle of what? A famous battle in 1798 when he beat Napoleon for the first time.
The Battle of Egypt.
Well, that's close. It was the Battle of the Nile, yeah. I would have taken Abu Qir Bay.
Known in naval circles as the Battle of Egypt.
Well,
you didn't know it was coming. Yeah, I was impressed.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So
I got about 9 out of 10, didn't I?
I think. Well, I'm not quite sure it was 9. Well, it was a tidy 6 or 7.
Okay.
I'd say we'll keep an eye out for you on Mastermind, but that wouldn't really feel right considering the subject matter.
We'll do the general knowledge next week, Mike.
We will. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Top man, Mike. Lovely to talk.
Well, because I know everything, I'll be even better at the general knowledge.
You will, that's true.
Of course
you keep safe. Keep the poems coming. We'll have a new poem next week, and we'll catch up with you soon. All the best.
Good
work.
All
right, guys. Thanks a lot. Take care.
There we are. Polymath.
I thought you did well there, Paul.
Really?
I thought you did well there. Hawksbee Hawksbeeson.
Oh, that's it, yeah. Marvellous. Yeah, that was about 10 minutes of research, so, but he didn't do bad, did he? He did better than I thought
he did all right.
To be honest. I didn't make him too hard.
I love the way he started out when he didn't know, though.
Oh, yeah. I think there was I could hear the old keyboard tapping for that, and he was, in fact, he came back, typing away to get on the Google. Anyway, Hawksbee and Jacobs here on talkSPORT with best crack on, lots more to come. Now, we are checking in with our old mate Mike Parry in lockdown, keeping an eye on him, and this week more than ever. And we're very pleased to say he joins us now. Good afternoon, Mike.
Yeah, good afternoon, fellas, and keep up the good work. You are raising the nation's spirit on a daily basis, guys. Well done.
Now, Mike, before we carry on, I know our mutual friend Claire Tomlinson from Sky was picking you up on this. I saw a picture of you Saturday night. You were back on the fags, Mike. Back on the fags.
That's bad.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You know what? I'm so glad you guys have brought that up because I want to pay penance for that. Okay, here I am locked down. You know, I'm in my penthouse in Stockbrokerville, Surrey. I've got quite a lovely little roof garden and all that kind of stuff. But I weakened. And I got one of the, I have a load of guys who bring me takeaway food, okay, and they're all very good guys. So I gave one chap £40 to go and get me a packet of cigarettes. And the cigarettes cost £15, so I gave him the other £25. Wow. And then I agree, I did weaken. I smoked one cigarette. And then I rinsed the other 19 under the tap of the sink and threw them away. It was a terrible weakness, but I just got to the point of, you know, I don't know how long this can go on and that sort of thing. Terrible weakness. I want to express one theory I've got, and this is not medically proven, okay? But somebody once told me if you have one cigarette a month, it opens up and expands your lungs and heart a bit, you know, as long as it's just the one. But I don't think many doctors would back that up. But I want to apologise publicly, and I don't encourage anybody to start smoking or keep smoking. Give it up. It's a dreadful habit. So yes, I'm very sorry.
Okay, good man. At least you saw the error of your ways, even it cost you 40 quid for half a cigarette, but you learnt the hard way. Now onto happier matters.
Yeah.
You read us a poem last week about returning to your beloved local pub, didn't you?
Yes.
And it's now been set to music, hasn't it?
Yes, and do you know who set it to music?
I did. We'll tell the listeners, yeah.
Well, it's our great colleague, Joe Amphlett, okay?
Yeah.
Now, Joe is a stalwart of talkSPORT, been around, even though he's still a very young man, been around for a few years there and contributed enormously. But Joe and I have had a bond for many, many years, because Joe is also a devout Beatles fan. Not just devout, but he's a world Beatles expert, okay? And Joe and I have both been to the Hard Day's Night Hotel in Liverpool, where often Beatle conventions are held and that kind of stuff. So after the poem received international acclaim for its Shakespearean-type quality, I spoke to Joe and said, what do you think about this? And within minutes, Joe came back to me with a version of a song which he put together on his own guitar. He'd written the music around the song, he'd sung it, and even better, his wonderful wife Steph did the backing vocals. And I have to say, the outcome, quite superb.
Well, I think on national radio, this is the world premiere. I know you've been putting out there to followers on social media, so we're going to play. We're going to play some of the song now. So remind us what was the poem called, Mike? Did it have a title?
The poem was called Ode to the English Tavern.
Ode to the English Tavern. Here it is, reworked by our own Joe Amphlett.
Thank you.
Oh, to be in an English pub in spring. The frothing owls and casks of beer and all the joy it brings. It's tough right now through sadness and sorrow, yes. So we'll turn to Blado and Motto. The locals standing round the bar.
There we are, just a flavour of Ode to the
I like
English
it. Where can we hear
Tavern.
all of it?
Yeah, it's
thanks, fellas.
it's good.
Well, what I've done is, this is another thing about self-isolation. You've got to sort of learn how to improve your technology. I had no idea what YouTube was really all about before I got it. People in the past had always done videos with me and then put them. But I've learned how to work YouTube. So I got it, Joe's put it into a video, with images and pictures of the Wheatsheaf pub and all that kind of stuff. We put it up on YouTube because I learned that if you put it on YouTube, you can then get a link from it, if you see what I mean, and then put it on Twitter. Otherwise, it only goes for 30 seconds on Twitter. So you'll find it, fellas, on the brand new YouTube channel called Life on Planet Porky on YouTube. And if you want to see the full version, hear the full version, you are very welcome.
I mean, I'm surprised you don't know much about YouTube, because you are a star of YouTube. Quite a lot of people have said they've been getting through lockdown by watching your cinnamon challenge every day.
The cinnamon's the best.
Well, the thing is, fellas, you're right. I have appeared on a lot of YouTube, and a lot of it's been on, stuff that I've done. But I've never filmed it. It's always somebody else filming it. They've always loaded it up. But the cinnamon challenge one drives me mad, because it sort of revives itself about every 3 months or something. Do you know that? You won't believe this, but that cinnamon challenge video has had something approaching 300 million downloads around the world. It's one of the,
No.
I'm not joking. It's one of the most watched videos, in the English-speaking world. But the problem is, when I made that, I had no idea about ownership or anything like that. In fact, I don't think you can own anything on YouTube, and it's out on so many different platforms under so many different sort of titles and recognitions. But when you add all the figures up in the end, I'm told that it's into the hundreds of millions. So again, I'm very pleased that people enjoy it, because in this day and age, I mean, I did my song about the pub, the poem and then song, because I really do think it's one thing that everybody's missing, going to the pub. And I bet you two guys have been the same as me. I bet every time you speak to an old friend who's rung you up to see how you are, or you ring somebody, I bet the last thing you always say is, right, the first one's on me when they reopen the pubs. And so far, I must have pledged the first one to at least 30 different people, so it'll keep me going for about the first 3 days without sleep.
Oh, good stuff. Okay.
Brilliant. You can fill your own pub. I've just subscribed to your new channel, Mike, and also wanted to check out the Cinnamon Challenge. But it says on it, this video may be inappropriate for some users. I've no idea why. I don't remember it being inappropriate.
Yeah. Well, you can get the Cinnamon Challenge anywhere, I think, can't you? You know, I mean, people send it to me again all the time. And how do you endorse a video like you would endorse somebody's book or something? Because people always send it to me and ask me to endorse it and send it back, so I'm not sure what that's all about.
Either you can give them a kind of emoji thumbs up or something, Mike. I don't know.
Or something like that. From the fortnight or something like that.
We did mention earlier on you'd weakened and had a cigarette. Now, one of your other challenges, maybe, I mean, good, but not as well known as the Cinnamon Challenge, when I think you decided to try and smoke an entire packet of cigarettes in one go, didn't you? And that didn't work out massively well, if I remember right.
No, that was a challenge, honestly. That was a challenge somebody gave me. And I was a lot younger then. I think it was still sort of post-heart collapse, so it was a stupid thing to do. Yeah. But it was quite funny, because what you do is, the trick is, you take the top off a box of 20 cigarettes and you stick all 20 filter ends into your mouth, like you've got a big, like, square rectangle in your mouth, okay? Yeah. And then it sounds like that record, doesn't it, about when Sir Walter Raleigh discovered tobacco. What do you do now, Walt? Oh, you set fire to the leaves in your mouth, you know. Yeah. And then you slide the rest of the box off, and then what you have to try and do is like all 20 cigarettes at the same time. You see what I mean?
Yes.
And see how quickly you can smoke. Very stupid thing to have done. Very stupid thing to have done. But I have done a lot of stupid things in my life, fellas, so... You know, perhaps as the years go by, they're catching up with me. I don't know.
So, Mike,
they make people happy. They're fun.
You're coping okay generally, Mike, aren't you?
I'm coping okay, fellas. And remember, I've told you that one of the great advantages of self-isolation is that I can spend more time studying my journals and come up with amazing things that I would never have known if I hadn't studied them so well. For instance, did you know that a young lady in America has built a fully functioning canoe out of a mushroom?
No.
Yes.
She hollowed out a mushroom and turned it into a canoe.
No, it's more complicated than that. This woman's a student in Nebraska, and she studies like fungi, and she realised that mushrooms are incredibly resilient. Oh. So she got the wire frame of, you know, something that looked like a canoe, and then she just piled mushrooms onto it, and all the mushroom fungi grew around the wire frame, and she now sails in this canoe, which is made of a mushroom. It's a mushroom canoe, and it's water resistant. Yeah,
I'm looking at a picture of her now, Mike. You'll know you're not making it up. Yeah,
there you go. Her name is Katie Ayres. Yeah, you got it?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. 8 foot long.
It sounds like utter shiitake to me.
Hey, and on that bombshell. Yeah.